This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by former WBO World Cruiserweight Champion Johnny Nelson here in Manchester. Johnny, always a pleasure. Trying to think back to the last time I saw you, I think it was Fraser Clark fight week since then. How has life been treating you?
Hey, it's all right, it's all right. It's nice to be back in Manchester again. I always rate Manchester as a fight city. Fans are passionate. We went to Joe Gallagher's Champs Camp gym yesterday. It was an unbelievable trip down memory lane. It just reminded me that there are not many true gyms, boxing gyms around anymore, true coaches around anymore, true passionate coaches that love the game, love the fight game, understand it. And I think I'll use Crews-Eubank's line, and you get a lot of PE teachers getting involved in boxing. Joe's not that. Joe gets boxing inside out. He lives, breathes and eats it. And it was just nice going it down memory lane to Champs Camp and revitalise it again. It's great place to have the public workout for the fighters.
Let's work through the card, obviously one of the people who trains out of Champs Camp is Natasha Jonas, moving down in weight to 147. A lot of question marks when she moved up to 154 to challenge for those honours. She became a free belt holder. Now she's moving back down to 147 to try and pick up a title there against Kandi Wyatt.
Yeah, I think it's a good fight. I actually thought when she stepped up, I thought she's bitten off more than she can chew. She showed her boxing skill, IQ, talent, which won the belts. Now she stepped down. I think she does it again. Watching them at the public workout, I thought, Wyatt, you need a little bit more than that to get in there with Natasha. Now, let's not make the mistake and overlook her. I understand. I think it's a fourth world title attempt. So she's used to being there, but Tash is steeped in talent. That's overlooked. That was probably written off when she first was stopped and people wrote her off. Then she boxed Terry Harper. Didn't get a fair shake, and then the rest is history. So now I think Natasha does it again for that. So everything that happens in her career, I think it will be a bonus for her career. I think she's done really well. I think she's lived up to expectation, becoming a world champion, and again. I'm really happy for her.
Johnny, the one fight which she didn't take part in, or she didn't go ahead with, was the Terry Harper one to become undisputed in a rematch at 154. Yesterday we saw Sandy Roy and Jessica McCaskill announced for the other titles in the 147 division. Say if Tasha wins the other fighters with Matchroom again, do you think there might be more of a willingness to try and open up talks there?
Unfortunately, this is where politics spoil our game. We see it in every division. It's happening now in the heavyweight division. And that's what spoils our game, that's what kills our game, and that's where we shoot ourselves in the foot. That's where individuals think of the here and now and not about tomorrow or the day after. Let's hope common sense prevails, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Let's talk about the main event. Crews-Dezurn defending her undisputed crown against Savannah Marshall. Big pressure on Savannah.
Big pressure. She said, this is the only level I want to box at. But she's saying, if I lose, where else do I go? Because it means I've got to box at a level that I'm better than. And I think she's a very honest pro in regards to thinking, well, if I can't be the best, why am I here? I get that, totally get that. So I think she can look at the Claressa Shields fight and realise it was within her capabilities. She chose her own tactics. She could have boxed better. If you go in there and fight someone and box to the best of your ability and still get turned over, that's when you ask yourself the question, do I belong here? I believe Savannah knows that she had a lot more to give, even though Claressa's an unbelievable fighter and proved that on a world scale. And I think this is the fight that will probably will tick that box for her to say, you know what, I do belong here. But yeah, it's a big shout because Crews-Dezurn, she turns up as a champion with a chip on her shoulder, which is great, which makes her a dangerous fighter because she's not complacent. What she has is not enough. She's protecting what she has, but it still isn't enough. So that's why I think this will be a good fight. I think Dezurn, tough, rugged. She will try and bulldoze her way through, try and pull Savannah into a tear-up. Savannah needs to stick to her smart, do what she's good at. Now at a heavier weight, she'll actually be more successful, more effective, and show the talent that she has.
By Savannah's own admission, she boxed the wrong fight against Claressa Shields. How does she go about attempting to beat Crews-Dezurn?
Savannah reminds me of a female version of Carlos Monzon. Good boxer, good executor. When she gets into her rhythm, does her fight, she's a very, very talented fighter where we've not seen the best of her, believe it or not. So again, for Savannah, I think she pulls it off. I think she pulls the win off. But it's not an easy night. It's a true 50-50. But I think talent will answer it all.
The return of Benzo, Mr. Benn Whittaker, a little Roy smile raised by yourself, Johnny. He always entertains the fans. He always delivers in ring so far. But what are you expecting from his next outing?
Benn Whittaker, expects him to get in there and get the job done. His opponent is well travelled. He won't be intimidated or hoodwinked by whatever intimidation or demoralisation tactic Benn produces. So Benn has to do what Benn can do. I spoke to Sugar Hill. I said, how's his injuries? How is he? He said, look, I'm more than happy. You know, it's been healed correctly. Things are right. Benn Whittaker's an unbelievable fighter, an unbelievable talent. I've seen talent rise to the top. I've seen it in Benn Whittaker. And so it's only life that could life itself that could probably derail him from reaching his true destiny.
Johnny, the best things come out of Birmingham. I know he's from Wolverhampton, but he's an adopted son. But yeah, just sticking with Benn, obviously people, they want to see him progress. They know about the talents, what he achieved in the amateur ranks. They want to see him have more difficult opposition put in front of him. Beyond Saturday night, if he goes and delivers what he did in Birmingham in his last outing, would you expect to see that tough test come next?
The tough test will come. At the moment, he's had a few gimmicks to say, look, here I am, this is who I am, to build up that fan base. And if he can take that same attitude, that same success, that same ease, as he flies through the domestic level, to the European level, the Commonwealth level, you know, this guy will be a superstar. There are some hurdles in front of him that are big fights that can happen, could happen. But you know what, he's got to wait his turn. He's like heavyweight, he's got to wait his turn. The guy's there. But when you look at the pool of talent that's there in the domestic light heavyweight scene, you look at Benn, you think, you know what, this boy could rise to the top.
Just moving away from Benn, I saw Callum Simpson walk in. A very interesting fight with Boris Crighton. Boris, a very tough, rugged man, will do his best to try and win the fight. Callum Simpson looked very explosive in Manchester last time out. What are you expecting from that fight?
Crighton, he lost on points to Lyndon Arthur, former Commonwealth champion Lyndon, and that's a good, you know, and he came at a week's notice. So that's actually not a bad loss, but it shows the character of Crighton. It shows the fight in him because he came back and again he came back on a win. So now for Callum, it's now that the light's starting to slowly shine on Callum because Callum can fight. Callum's got some zing about him. Now it's how we see he deals with an opponent that will be a good measuring stick to see, right, can you beat someone like this? Do you struggle with someone like this? Will you be as effective as you has been so far? I rate Callum. I think he's a Barnsley Bash. He gets the job done. He can punch, he can box, and he's confident and he feels this stage is made for him. So, and I was quietly impressed with Boxer signing him. And I've seen this young man box before, and I was surprised they hadn't signed him before. Now he feels as though he's here. He feels as though this is where he belongs. He feels as though, you know, this is the beginning of his career.
As a Sheffield man, Johnny, there is a show clash this weekend. We see Dalton Smith versus Sam Maxwell. I know you're focused on this fight, but just talk to me about that one and your thoughts on Dalton and the talent he possesses.
Dalton Smith's an excellent fighter, a good fighter. Against Maxwell, this is a good fight. It's not a pushover, it's not a done deal. Maxwell will push him to the limits. Smith, last two performances have been a little below par, one through injury, one thing or another. But I'm telling you now, to be in Sheffield, to headline in Sheffield, you will see a young man that's got his feet firmly on the ground, a young man that will show his boxing IQ, a young man that is very comfortable under pressure, and a young man that has got so much growth. It's untrue.
Just away from that one, just sticking with Sheffield, a big fight was announced by Matchroom the other day. Sonny Edwards, who trains out of Sheffield with Grant Smith versus Bam Rodriguez, unification fight. Just your take, please, Johnny.
Sonny Edwards is a don, man. Sonny Edwards is a don. He's my boy. I see him at the basketball every week, and I like him. IQ. When you talk about the game, he's not just a fighter. His IQ of the game itself, his translation of the game is ridiculous. I rate him potentially in and out of the ring. You know, this man can be successful whatever he puts his hand to in regards to boxing.
Moving away from all of that talk around the Sheffield area, Smith-Eubank Jr. 2 or Conor Benn? Johnny, I just want to get your thoughts and your take on all the talk about what's going to be happening for around that fight next. Do we see Smith-Eubank Jr. 2? Do we see Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr.? What's been your thoughts on it all?
I think that's a conversation for Ben Shalom or already heard, because you don't know if people are throwing names out there and suggestions out there to set the cat amongst the pigeons, and so to get a surety, get confirmation, you've got to speak to the head hunchers. But the one thing you've got to remember is Conor Benn's on a ban. So no matter what noise you make around it, no matter what, if you believe him or not, he's on a ban. So you've got to get over that hurdle first and deal with that hurdle first and get some settlement first. Then get excited. I've always been a fan of Conor Benn's performances, I have. And I like to see Conor Benn fight, but he's got to go through the right process for us to get this over the line and getting excited about him again.
One of the biggest fights in Conor's category was announced the other day. Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. Johnny, please break that one down for me. Everyone's split.
I was split, and I said Crawford, then Spence. You know what? I'm going back to Crawford again. I've seen quit in Spence. Might not go down too tough, but you watch Spence's fight. Times when he switched off, concentration switched off a little bit. You can't do that in this game, and that's a bad trait to have. You know, if you're playing possum or what. I've seen quit, and I thought two top-tier, top-level fighters. If you got a bit of quit in you, you don't want to be showing that in a fight. And that's the only thing that splits the two of them. I thought you showed a side to your character that makes me worry, that makes me think, why? Where's that? You know, go through his fight, look at his fight, look where he switches off, and you think, well, what's that about? Where's your mind gone? You know, and that's the only difference I can make with the two of them, and that's what made me lean towards Crawford.
Johnny, we've seen some unbelievable fights in those low weights. Having mentioned Spence Crawford on the horizon, we had Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Haney Lomachenko, Taylor Lopez. What do you make of seeing all of this talk of a heavyweight and yet nobody seems to be signing on the dotted line?
I think talk's cheap. I think I'm sick and tired of personally dancing this dance, but the promoters are doing their job. They're getting us talking about it. He should fight him. He's not signing him. He's offering him X, Y, Z. It's imminent. Let's just wait and see. It's no point in even giving it air. I'm quite sure if it does come off, it'll be a great spectacle. But until then, it's just we don't know nothing. We don't know nothing. The only thing we do know is we know nothing. So let's be patient.
Now, I don't know whether you've seen them, like Johnny, but I've seen some comments from Frank Warren saying that Tyson Fury will not fight Alexander Usyk in December. Your thoughts?
Let's hear Tyson Fury say that. This is not Frank Warren's call or Bob Aaron's call. This is Tyson Fury's call. And so if Tyson Fury decides tomorrow that he's in, he's in. So Frank's trying to take some kind of control. He ain't got control of that man. You know, you're not controlling Tyson Fury. It depends on how Tyson Fury feels. So until I hear it from, till Tyson Fury says I will not fight him completely, but I'm out of that. Don't get me involved. Then I'd probably believe it, but then I know he could change his mind the next day. So when Frank says stuff, when Bob says stuff, I just think we don't know what's happening with Tyson Fury until he gets in the ring. So that's all we can say.
What do you think it comes down to as to why these guys are not signing these fights, Johnny? Do you put it down simply to greed?
Ego. Because there's a lot of money at stake for all the fighters involved. So it's ego. Because you're a prize fighter, you want to get paid. You want to be proved to be the best out there. The only thing that's stopping you is ego. You've got everything you want. You know, oh, I want more. More's not enough. I want a little bit more. So it's either ego or you don't think you're gonna do well in these tournaments. And this is not just a Tyson Fury thing. This is the Wilder thing, Joshua thing. This is an Usyk thing. It's ego.
Does he not say more that Usyk had decided to sign with Skills Challenge though? Like he seems to have gone that one step further.
He's the first one to really say, yeah, I'm in. Lock, stock and barrel, I'm in. And I'm willing to have a fight before then because I'm that confident, I'm in. You know, he's the one that's probably done the most confident move out of all of them. What
do you make of Daniel Dubois' chances against Alexander Usyk?
None. I like Daniel. I've got a lot of time for Daniel. I think still a lot of growing to come from Daniel, but I think Usyk probably stops him. I think Daniel has shown a side to him that any fighter that smells blood know what kind of pressure they need to put on him, but he cannot ignore the fact that this man can punch. This man is dangerous, this man is growing, getting better slowly but surely, but there's a flaw in his character. And it's not speaking out of turn, I'm just speaking fact. Might not get on too tough, but what I'm saying to you is, I think it's a shutout. I'd be very surprised if anything else happened.
Johnny mentioning ego. Joshua-Whyte too, talk seem to be back on again. Does that word correlate with why this fight's been dragged out for an August 12th showing?
I don't know what the big turnaround was. I think maybe Dillian Whyte's appearance on Talk Sport may have put the spotlight on the fighters. And trust me, it's not the fighters that are the ones that are saying, no, I'm not doing that. Because if you're a fighter, you want to fight everybody. It's the handlers that say that's not a good business move. Maybe we're making a decision for your own best. So not for 1 second do I believe Anthony Joshua was pressured into this fight at all. Not for 1 second do I believe Anthony Joshua has tried to slow time this fight to wait for the potential with Wilder if it does happen. I think it's the handlers around them. They're making business move. Again, it's politics. And so and sometimes you want your fighter to live to fight a bigger and better day.
Final one, Johnny. Earlier today again, we saw Zhang-Joyce 2 announced. Will Joe-Joyce get his revenge against Zhilei Zhang?
Well, Zhang will not change anything about what we've seen. He hasn't. That's the fighter he is. This is now down for Joe to change his tactics. Don't stand there with a brick wall and try and have a tear with it, because it's liable to fall on you. So Joe's got to show his boxing skills, speed, power, and brain, and he changes that result. Zhang won't do any different.
Right, Johnny, I know this seems to be building up a little bit, so I imagine you've got some work to go and get on with, so thank you.
Nice one. Bless.